Hey guys, welcome to the Dad Things podcast where dads do dad things. I'm working on the intro, so bear with me. I appreciate the two of you that have watched the first episode thus far. I looked at the analytics and maybe I got a little bit too deep. My mama called me. She ain't called me, she texted me. She was like, hey, bro, got a little heavy on the first episode. I said, yeah. And I tend to do that sometimes. I'm pretty in-depth sort of guy. So thank you for watching. Those two that have watched, leave comments. I like to interact. And what you're seeing also when it comes to the posting that you see on my shorts are, if you're watching on YouTube, if not, if you're just listening on this place, really glad to have you. But what I'm saying is, on my YouTube in the shorts, I'm giving you a lot of the experiences, the memories that I've shared with my family that might have already been on TikTok. So if you're not a TikTok, that's kind of where I originally started. So with the whole TikTok situation, you're seeing a lot of the recycled content there, but I am actively commenting. So please communicate questions or anything, comments. I really do like it. I really do support it. So thank you for that. All right, so what are we going to talk about today, man? We're going to be having some deep conversations, just questions that us dads are probably asking. Why is nobody kind of talking about this? Now, I'm going to be helped by Chat GPT. I like the use of AI. I think it's very, very helpful. So if there are any AI companies that want to do any sort of like business, holler at me. Anyway, are we raising our kids or just managing them? Are we raising our kids or are we just managing them? Now, that's a big question. But let's dissect that. Like, what exactly does that mean, right? Because I'm a millennial dad based on what the research says. I'm a millennial dad. I'm about 33 years old. So I did research and wondered, like, what are some of the most millennial dads are dealing with nowadays as just kind of like fathering. And it says millennial dads are raising kids in an era of constant screens, packed schedules, infinite parenting advice, dual income households, more involvement than previous generations. Those are some heavy things that we are indeed dealing with from a multitude of different areas, right? Everybody's situation is different and circumstances are different. And so we have some discussion questions that we can actually start to talk about. So let's get into it. The first one is, when was the last time you played with your child without teaching, correcting, or multitasking? I'm going to ask that again. When was the last time you played with your child without teaching, correcting, or multitasking? Now, if I'm being completely honest, I'm one of those teacher type of dads. Like, if I can, I try to teach you something while I'm in the space. But I am on the other side. I'm a very, very like in the moment guy. So when I'm with my kid, I love to just observe him. I like to just look at him, see how his mind is working as he's using his body and whatnot. But every moment is different. Every situation is different. You may be really teachy, or you may be in a space where you just don't want to do it. But what do you do? Is that even a natural thing? In the realm of today where there's so much going on, clicks and algorithms and fast pace, it's move, this, and the fourth. And then you have this little baby. That is like so out of our definition of time. Patient as they come. One thing, the most smallest thing, gets the absolute full amount of attention when it comes to a baby. Can you be in the space with not trying to teach, correct, or anything? But it's like, it comes from a protection thing. If I'm thinking about it, I mean, you're trying to protect, you're trying to do that. But when was the last time you played with your child without teaching, correcting, or multitasking? I remember I was playing with my oldest, and he's 3, he's turning 4. And I just kind of let him run with it. I'm a creative, so I like to play with him and role play with him and stuff. So, but I just allow him to just take the lead, and it got crazy. It got crazy. It got weird. I'm like, dude, it wasn't making any sense, and my logical brain is just like, nah, you're not supposed to. You're not supposed to talk in that manner if we're doing restaurant. Like, we can't eat this at the restaurant. Like, look, that's not even a real thing. I'm over here trying to argue with him, but at the same time, I'm also like, man, this dude has a free mind. They have such free minds. They have such free minds. And to be in their world, to be in their space, to really see how they think and how they move, it's a different sort of connection from a dad's perspective. I mean, I see a lot of dads. We're pretty observant. We're pretty observant. We like to just see what the heck is kind of going on in that little human's mind. I feel like a lot of dads I talk to are like that. So the next question is, are we creating memories or just managing logistics? Are we creating memories or just managing logistics? Because there is the managing piece, depending on what it is that you absolutely handle, what you place into the category of managing. And then there's also like the creating memories. A lot of what y'all see in the shorts or on my content and stuff are a lot of like the memories. Like I like the memories of it, creating those memories. And I love content for that reason, because it helps you not forget memories, especially with how things are moving so fast. And so, what is the difference between memory creation and managing? That's a good question. That is a good question for us to consider. The next one is, why do dads feel guilty even when they're doing more than their fathers did? Whoa. I had one of those buzzers. Or doom. I'm gonna get one of them things, doom, so you can hear that. But yeah, that's a heavy one. There still comes the guilt of when you want to either take care of you or do something that is a very I versus we choice. Guilt comes from that, especially when you are in a space where you may or may not have done more than the previous. Some of us have freaking rock star dads that just went crazy, and trying to live up to that sort of endeavor is pretty tumultuous, I'm sure. And then the other side of it, for those of us that have achieved what we deem success, and then seeing that there isn't, you surpassed whatever it was so long ago that now you have to kind of create your own sort of narrative. Like, are you stagnant now? There comes a moment, what's that? Where do you go? Where do you leave it? Where can you look up for those that have done more than the previous? But that's a good discussion. That's a good question. Do you feel shame? Do you feel any shame when you want to do things for yourself? Do you still feel shame when you know you've done even more, or there's so much to do while you're looking up? Something to think about. Ooh, this is a good one. Has modern day parenting become performance-based? Has modern day parenting become performance-based? That is interesting. That is interesting. And it's interesting because when you see so much of it, like if you look up anything parenting wise, like look up best parents on your socials and then just let the algorithm take over, you will feel like absolute spoils. That algorithm will show you how meaningless you are if you start hitting best parent on these socials, man. But does it become performance based? Is it who can get better this? Who can get better that? That is a very, very interesting question. Now, everyone's situation is different, but what about your perspective? What do you think? Do you feel as though your dad persona or who you are to the family performance based? It's a that's a heavy one. That's a good question to ask. And these are questions for yourself. And then when you have that understanding, be able to communicate that to said person that is supposed to love you. Yeah, I mean, it depends. It's kind of hard. It's kind of hard. It really is hard. Now that I'm thinking about it, how do you not necessarily become performance based when you have little kids that are like so honest about the feedback they give you? So honest. I'm a breakfast guy. I make breakfast. The happiness on my face either grows or diminishes depending on how my son is going to approve of said breakfast. And what I mean by that was one day, man, I made sausage, I made eggs, I gave him some strawberries, I gave him some sort of like a green smoothie or whatever like that. I don't know. I worked hard on it. And he looked down and he was just like, "Is this it?" I said, "Excuse me?" He said, "I said, is this it?" Oh. I said, "Yeah, sir, that doesn't pay one bill in this house." But yeah, I mean, I found myself pu- feeling like it was a performance when it came to the breakfast. Like, you know what I'm saying? My wife is extremely appreciative of the breakfast that I consistently make and don't necessarily taste that much, but she appreciates it. Him on the other hand, like, yo, I gotta show up for him. But again, depending on who your kid is and what that is, does everything that you do feel like performance, like you're getting graded? That's a good question to ask. I wouldn't know. That's your situation, your circumstances to consider. What moments will our kids actually remember about us? What moments will our kids actually remember about us? That's a good one. Those are good ones. Those are good ones. In a world that is very, very motivated to grow or own or expand, when it when you really consider like memories that you make, memories are worth. You can't even put that on an evaluation when it comes to memories. Because if you're not focusing on the memory that much, it's like it comes and goes. And so what are our kids actually going to remember about us? If I'm being honest, I don't think I want to be so busy that I can't necessarily create the memories with my kids. I used to think I just wanted to be like, I want to be at the top. I want to be but then again, it's like, man, when you've already established the kids, when you get a gander at those eyes, and though you're working so hard to do everything and leave everything behind with them and whatnot, you sit and you ponder and you're just like, man, like, I really like being with you. I really like being with my kids. They cool, man. They drive me up a wall sometimes. I ain't gonna hold you. They do. That said, I like being around them. They fun. They are super, super fun. So, Dad, these were some interesting questions for us to consider, to think about, to marinate on. And I hope it was advantageous for you to listen. So, with that being stated, really appreciate you listening. For those of you that have subscribed, I think right now I'm looking at the YouTube channel. The YouTube channel is Set in Color. Set in Color. CEDINCOLOR. That's the same on TikTok. Instagram, I'm getting there. I'm gonna get there. Let me do one thing at a time. That's how I really progress. But for all of you that have been subscribing, I think we're almost at 100 subscribers. I'm really thankful for y'all. Thank you. Truly, truly. This is a creative endeavor. This is something that is truly about, what I love is that, and with my family and being with my boys and my wife and what all of that includes, and the healing pieces of it. We'll get deeper in these conversations and whatnot when you talk about real raw stuff, but for the most part, I really appreciate everyone that is on it, that supports and knows me and does whatever we do. So I hope this conversation was helpful. If it was, like, subscribe, leave a comment. I'll say hello. And yeah, thank you for watching. And I will see you in the next video.